Hi all, hope you had a happy new year and welcome to the Monday Mix. First video back from the new year. Very quiet in December, but it was a very quiet December for me anyway, so apologies that I didn't publish anything, but we're back. We're going to hit the ground running here, and I think it's only fitting that the first video back is a reflection on some of the moments from 2024, mainly what my personal top albums were. Now, I'm not saying these are the best for everyone. People have different views. First of all, I want to hear what other people's opinions are for last year's albums, because if there's something I missed or slept on, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to catch up with it. It always happens. But these are mine, and I think for the audience of the channel, that the top one is not going to be a surprise at all, and it's Bring Me's album. Next Gen was amazing. I think the mixture of waiting for so long, the anticipation was off the chart for me. When they played Download in 2023, it was almost a teaser of what was to come, and we knew that there was going to be a new album. They'd put a lot of lore behind it. That set was insane. We've spoke about it on the channel very briefly, but the album itself had no low moments at all. I seen them pretty much this time last year in the AO in Manchester, and it was pre the tour, and they'd kind of teased a little bit of it at the show, but nothing to get you kind of going, ooh, what was this? But when they dropped it, like, there was such a surprise that it was going to happen as quickly as it did. Although we did have the wait, it's there at midnight. I remember just putting it on at midnight or slightly after and just being like, I'm not disappointed. With all the stuff that happened with them and Jordan Fish, I'm not going to go into it. There is that kind of, like, there's a lot more guitar driven stuff on it. Like, there's a guitar solo in one of the songs, like, that's perfect. Like, I remember for me, that brings me back to very early Bring Me. And I know there's a lot of people who don't even listen to that stuff, but that to me was fundamental. Like, oh, that was class. But yeah, first album, Bring Me the Horizon, Next Gen. Amazing. Another album for me this year that I absolutely killed. Played it to death. Couldn't get enough of it. It's been top of my Spotify in various times, and it's Neck Deep's self-titled. It's just incredible. Like, with Neck Deep, they are one of the bands that, and I hate using this term, but it is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're kind of masters of their craft. They did bring a few tracks out for the tease and the singles building up to it, and they were fantastic. Like, Take Me With You was my top Spotify song for the year, like 2023. I just killed it. Like, I thought it was a brilliant song. Everything about it was well put together. I thought it had a bit of humour, whatever, and that's exactly what I wanted from Neck Deep. One of the reasons I love this album so much was the day this album was released was the day that Green Day brought Saviors out. And not to put a dampener on it and for anyone who loved it, but for me it just fell short for a Green Day album. So on the day where I had a new Neck Deep album, I almost was like, please don't disappoint me. And I put it on, bang, amazing. Played it about 3 times that day. I thought it was so good. I think the songwriting in it's brilliant. I think the production on it is fantastic as well. Again, they're another live band that they could play any of these songs live. Like, I seen them at Leeds Fest last year twice, and they did like an older set and a newer set. And, like, to be honest, like, I've seen them play older stuff a lot. So seeing the new stuff was nice. It was fresh. They killed it. The crowd loved it. This deserves a slot on my top albums of the last year. Another one for me is Sum 41's Heaven and Hell. Out of nowhere, like, I knew I would like it, but I didn't think I would love it. And what I mean by that is, early Sum 41 for me is definition Sum 41, and I know there's a lot of people out there that's the same, and even people have told me in Derek's book they felt that they dropped off a bit or whatever, and I don't think they did drop off a bit. I think there's like an element of nostalgia, and like, people love what they love. But with this album, I kind of went into it kind of thinking, well, it's their last album, or so we think, or so we know. I'll give it a go. And the first half of it's Havent, so it's all like pop punky and leans more into that, and Hell leans more into the heavier stuff that they do very well as well. And it's one of them albums where I've got a mate who lives by pop punk, and that's his vibe, and he's brilliant at that. Where I lean more into the heavier side. So whenever I told him to listen to this, there was no surprise that he liked the first half of the album more than the second, where I was the opposite. But even then, like, I can very much appreciate the work that's went into it, and they played a couple of the songs on their last tour, and again, went down very well with the crowd. Were on a show that they might not never play the city again. You would expect them just to play hit after hit after hit, where they didn't. They kind of career spanned their song set list, and it also didn't feel like it should be a last album. And what I mean by that is, you do get sometimes, I'm not going to name drop, bands that know it's going to be their last album and just throw a record out there for the sake of it. This genuinely felt that they put their all into it, and for that, it deserves a spot for me. I've played it probably once a week since it came out, so it has to be up there. The next one is Poppy's Negative Spaces. Now, I know it came out in like May or something like that, and I did sleep on it. The Knock Loose, Jimmy Kimmel, was it Jimmy Kimmel? Whatever, performance was my first experience of, oh my god, I'm going to check both the Neck Deep album out, which is incredible as well, an absolute incredible album, plus the Poppy one. But for me, if I had to pick one between the two of them, just for listenability's sake, it's the Poppy album. Like, I don't know, there's so much juxtaposition in that album that I feel there's enough for everyone in it. Like, there's some really heavy stuff, the stuff that leads into more poppy stuff, and what I mean is not poppy, I mean pop-y. And like, I love a bit of spread like that. Like, if I wanted to listen to an album that's just all of one, there's so many amazing albums that came out this year. But just thinking about if I went on a walk and I had an album that I wanted to put on, it was one of the ones that I'd put on because I knew I had such variation across the board, and it was brilliant. And I still listen to it to this day. I think it deserves the praise it got, and if I get the chance to see Poppy in any festival environment or on a UK tour, I'm going to do it because them songs absolutely hit hard. Next album, Red Hook's Mutation. I had the absolute privilege of meeting them and having an interview with them. Put the link up there. The album is brilliant. They cross genre a lot, and that's exactly what I kind of want in an album, where I don't sometimes I don't want to know what's coming next, and that album is perfect for it. There's some absolutely amazing songs on it from start to finish, and one of the standouts is there's a crossover with Lucas from Holding Absence, and Dr. Frankenstein is an absolute tune. If anyone wants to try and get into that album, I'd recommend that and Bomb.com. Two brilliant songs. Hex as well. Just listen to the whole album, it's absolutely brilliant, and it was fresh for me. Like, I've been a fan of the band for ages. Again, it was lovely to meet them. So nice people, and in that kind of, when you get the chance to meet people like that, it's nice to know that there's nice people doing nice work and not just a face. I know what I mean. Another album, Bill Murray's American Motorsports. Again, there's a theme here, and it's fun. Like, all the albums, that Neck Deep, Sum 41, Poppy, even the Red Hook album, but Bill Murray's album was so fun. He was another one of the standout gigs of this year, like supporting Sleep Token. When I seen that on paper, I was like, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't make sense. Seeing him does. It was brilliant. They absolutely killed it with this album. Like, there's some really meaningful songs on there, as well as like the memes that we know and love. It's nice to have some fresh musical arrangements, like saxophone on some metal songs and some breakdowns, and then it goes into some, I don't know, some funny memes or the woofs or whatever. Like, it kept me on my toes listening to it for the first time. Like, there's even some country elements to the album as well, and like, I'm not the biggest country fan, but in that kind of mixing it up kind of mentality, I was all in. Like, I loved it, and it deserves a spot for me. Like, it's in a heavy rotation for me. If I'm in a sad mood or whatever, I bang it on. I just think it has that equal balance of, I was expecting it just to be meme city, funny as hell, move on, but there is some really meaningful, beautiful songs on the album, and they are put together very well. And to be honest, the production on all of the albums I'm speaking about today is second to none. Like, we're at that point now where it's hard to get an album where the production is bad, but it's the next step up, and these artists are absolutely killing it with that, so well done. The next two I'm just going to rattle off because I've spoke about the albums and I've actually reviewed them, and it's Boston Manor's Sundiver and Balance and Composure, and it's Balance and Composure's With You in Spirit. Two brilliant albums. I'll put the reviews up there, both of them. We'll check one of them out, whatever, but absolutely brilliant albums in their own right. And again, I'm not going to, if people have seen the reviews, there's no point me going over them again. I reviewed them at the time. I want to do some more album reviews this year, so on that note, please drop in what you think's coming up, or if there's an album that came out last year you want me to cover, I'll do it. Please give me a shout. And another one that I kind of did a brief video on was the first two singles for the State Champs album, the self-titled, and it's earned a spot as well. Again, fun album, positive vibes, just really fun. Like, they absolutely killed it, but they are a band that continually kill it, and I said in one of my videos they are kind of becoming one of the kings of pop punk, and I think this could be their year. Like, they're on the tour this year, and I'm probably more excited to see them than the past 3 or 4 times I've seen them, mainly because this album, any of these songs will fit in very well into the sets. But even if you're not someone who wants to go to live gigs, or you don't get out to many live gigs, that's fine. This album in itself is just, it's just very positive. Like, I just get the feeling that they poured a lot into this album, and it really does show. So please check it out. You'll not be disappointed. And the two final ones, I just want to go through them very quickly, is the EP from Dream State called Still Dreaming. Amazing, back to front, amazing songs the whole way across the board. Another one of them bands that are on the up, and very deserving so, and I can't wait to see more that they did. And the last album, Bob Dylan's Humble as the Sun. It's one of the albums that I didn't expect to like as much as I did, because I didn't know much about the band, and when I put it on I was like, oh my god, to me this is so fresh, because I hadn't listened to much of their back catalogue, but it's in my heavy rotation. So, like, I don't know how many albums there's 10 I suppose, but that is in no order. That's just my 2024 picks of the year. But more importantly, what are yours? What albums came into your mind when I was talking about them? Is there any ones that you think deserve a spot? Is there any that you think deserve more praise than they did and people slap on them? Please let me know. This is where we have the chance to build a community, share music and share views and opinions, and that's the key thing here. These are just opinions. But thank you so much for the support this past year really, and there will be a hell of a lot more content coming out, but I am really grateful for everything, every comment, every like, all that there, all the subscribers, and let's hit the ground running with this. But thank you so much, and bye from the Monitor Mix.